And if you, through some complication in your paycheck reaches in a day late, well, that's just too bad. Because if your standing orders go through and you are overdrawn by 5 pence, you are going to be hit and told you did not keep the terms of your agreement. You have an unauthorized overdraft. And for that 5 pence, they can hit you £30. And they can reject your standing orders. And even nicer, they can represent them rapidly the next day before consulting you so that they can charge you again. And then that will get interest on it as well. That's how Satan's system works. I keep saying it's designed to kill and destroy, and not just in the battlefield, it's everywhere. All this is dishonest and it is theft. And we should not be doing it because it is sin. To lie, to steal, to kill have become main pillars in our economic system. It is therefore easy to see that neither our systems nor we can be blessed, because we are breaking countless laws every single day. So instead of being blessed, we are being cursed. You know, as I've said, it's a wonder that we still exist. I really think it's a miracle that we still exist. And God just hasn't said, as I said in my last video, earth cease. Just forget about this. You know, we are then told that we may charge a stranger usury and interest. Oh yes, the Bible said it is possible. But it doesn't say you must. It says it is possible too. As Paul says, you know, all things are not expedient, you know. You might be able to do something, but it's not the best idea anyway. But the Bible says you can. You see, if we set our hands to do what God says and obey, all that we put our hand to will be blessed. At the moment, you only have to look at the newspaper, look at your television. I don't watch it, so I can't tell you what it's saying. But I'm sure it's full of all this financial mess, and you can see with your own 2 eyes that we are cursed. You see, Deuteronomy 23:20 says, "Unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury." Why? That the Lord thy God may bless thee in all that thou settest thine hand to, in the land whither thou goest to possess it. And now the exact, precise opposite is happening. Everything that we set our hands to is cursed. The British government has had to resort to bringing back in Peter Mandelson from Europe, whom they sacked twice into the government. David Blunkett, another minister, ex-minister, left under a cloud, is being brought back in. They have no idea what to do. But it says there that if we do what God says and not charge usury to our brother, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all that thou settest thine hand to. The Bible has a very different approach to what we call work. Work is physical activity. It's not just a mental exercise of gambling, because that is what the stock market is. You get down to its essentials, and the stock market is like a gigantic gambling casino. And the people participating are not even aware that it is ultimately controlled by a few men, a very small handful of men at the top. Yes, this is what Moses said in a psalm. Yes, Moses did write some psalms. Psalm 90:17. And let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish thou the work of our hands upon us. Yea, the work of our hands establish it. Not by some trickery of the mind. That's Psalm 90:17. Do you think that we could ask the eternal God to establish our dishonest governments, our dishonest banks, our industries, like the oil industry, the energy industry, the mortgage companies, and get a positive response from God? What do you think? You know, when George Bush says, God bless America, does America get blessed? That's a good question. Is he in a position to ask God to bless America? Is he not in fact cursing the nation when he says, God bless America? Is he not asking his God to bless America? And his God has no blessings to give. So, can you see, we have confusion right at the top coming down. How can we be blessed? It's the businesses in his country, in the country I am blessed to live in, that are causing the problems. They're not just coincidence. What does David say happens to the work of the hands of the wicked? David says in Psalm 9:6, the Lord is known by the judgment which he executeth. And that is what I have been saying. You go back over all my videos and my documents for the last several months. I'm speaking judgment, judgment, judgment. And that's what we're seeing. It says, the wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. So yep, you know, we can twist and we can squirm and we can worm. But that verse tells us that the wicked is snared by the work of his own hands. David again says in Psalm 28:4, give them according to their deeds and according to the wickedness of their endeavors. Give them after the work of their hands. Render to them their desert. See what David says here? Give them according to their deeds. And that's what we are getting now. We are reaping according to our deeds. And he doesn't stop there. He says, and according to the wickedness of their endeavors. Interest is a gross wickedness. We have impoverished country after country by giving them massive loans on which they could not afford the interest. Who is it that oppresses us? Well, it is the rich that oppress us. James 2:6, but ye have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? If you can't pay your bill on your furniture or whatever, they take you to court. In St. Kitts, where I mentioned St. Kitts, but it's just the same everywhere. You take stuff, you can't pay, they lock you up. You might have been able to pay for the stuff if you didn't have the ever-increasing interest.